Thank you everybody for tuning in to Global from Asia TV. My name is Michael Michelini and I've been doing audio podcasts for many years now, over almost 100 episodes, and I just decided to take the leap to video, so I hope you enjoy, and I always listen to feedback, positive, constructive, and sometimes negative feedback. So thank you again for leaving me feedback in advance. So today's show, we're going to be talking about what should you be thinking about when you open a company, like which country, which location should you be thinking about. So I have a list of 5 points, but basically I also want to say before I get started is don't let that freeze you. You can do a lot in your own business before you actually have a formal company set up. So I don't want to have this excuse where I talk to a lot of people that are not yet started doing their business because they haven't yet incorporated. There's tons of research and, talking to potential customers or even trying to do some small business before you get started. So don't let that freeze you from going forward with your business, okay? So anyway, let's get started with these points. So point number 1, where is your customer base? Where are you trying to sell to? What's your target market? This is a pretty critical one depending on which market that is. Of course, probably a lot of people sell to Americans in the United States of America, so it might make sense to set up a company in the US. There's tons of merchant account options. They can pay by check or money order. There's also the ACH direct deposit to your US bank account. So I know a lot of people always try to think about how not to set up a company in America, but maybe it could be a good reason. And then, of course, there's merchant accounts around the world that help you accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. So maybe do that as well, any country. But just think about who your target market is and how are they going to pay you. Is it going to be by bank transfer, credit card, money order check, direct deposit? So keep these things in mind for when you're setting up your company, is how are customers going to be able to pay you. You want to make it as easy as possible to receive money, right? Okay, so point number 2, where are you going to be hiring your team? I know there are a lot of online businesses nowadays, myself included, that hire a lot of people online, remotely, contractor and freelancers, maybe with Odesk, which is now Upwork, or other freelancer websites. But you might actually have to hire somebody full-time, or maybe they'll request it, or maybe you'll get a good team in a specific country. So maybe think about, where are you planning to have your operations? Are you going to have a fixed office and hiring full-time staff? I know that sounds scary and maybe even old-fashioned, but you might want to think about that when you get started. Where are you going to be setting up your company? And where are you going to be hiring your people? So if you set up a company in the US, but you want to have staff in the Philippines full-time, legally you might need to actually have a company there and hire them directly. Of course, all of these points you can work with partner companies or outsourcing companies to do it. But just another point to keep in mind is, are you going to hire full-time staff? So point number 3, do you need a visa? Are you in your home country, or are you going to be traveling and permanently relocating? So for me, I live in China and I have a Chinese visa through my company in China I set up years ago. And one of the biggest perks is I get to hire myself, and I have like investment status employment visa. So I get to stay in China for 1 full year without any requirements to leave if I want to stay here full time. So that's another reason you might want to set up a company in a certain country, is if you're planning to be there for a long time and you're a foreigner to that country or a visitor, you could keep jumping back and forth on business visas or tourist visas. Maybe you can get married and have a spouse visa, which some people I know do. That's another point you want to think about. Okay, now point number 4. So this is not as important as the first few, of course, but I think it's worth mentioning, is I know a lot of companies want to raise money from investors, and I've been through this process myself as well as others, and investors actually do care where your company is based. They want it to be near where they are. They want to be able to know the jurisdiction, the law, the legal things, the banking. So I don't want this to be your first reason to set up a company, but I do want this to be in your thought process with where to set up the company for fundraising. So investors like to be able to, to know it's near them and to be able to deposit money there directly. I've been through some where an investor in Europe set up a company, and we then sent money to China to fundraise, to actually use the operations, but we fundraised in Europe. Okay, and now my fifth and final point, and this is the final and bottom of the list. This one is the least important, but where's your supplier base? Are you going to have lots of small suppliers and just-in-time payments? We do international business. Let's assume China. So maybe you want to have a company where you can quickly pay them same day through local Chinese bank transfer, or maybe from Hong Kong. So that's why a lot of times I tell people to set up a company in Hong Kong so that they can quickly pay Chinese factories with small amounts and not worry about these large transfer fees, bank transfer fees from like US or Europe, and the time delay. So you also might want to have a small warehouse and make small payments to people. So having a Chinese company with a Chinese bank might be the best way for doing all of those. So those are the 5 points. Please let me know with the feedback in the comments, and check out the next show. And thanks for being with me all the way through this first one. Take care.